There comes a time in every person's life when they must stop asking the world what it can offer them and start asking themselves what they are offering the world. Most never make that shift. Most keep waiting. Waiting for the market to change. Waiting for someone to discover them. Waiting for the right contact, the lucky break, the perfect alignment of stars. But the ones who rise, the ones who build legacies that echo long after they've gone, those people stop waiting. They begin building. And they build from the inside out. Because success, real success, doesn't come to the person who needs it most. It comes to the person who deserves it. And you don't attract wealth, respect, or opportunity by chasing it. You attract it by becoming the kind of person it naturally gravitates toward. You must be the kind of person you would invest in, not just with money, but with trust, belief, energy, and time. If your life were a stock, would you buy in? Would you double down? Would you bet your future on your own daily habits, your mindset, your self-leadership? If not, why should anyone else? This is not a game of pretending to be great. It is a war to become great. And the battlefield is your morning routine, your thoughts when no one is watching, your response to discomfort, your choices in boredom, your attitude when it's hard, your ability to show up when there's no applause. This is where champions are forged in silence, in the dark, in the small, unseen disciplines that compound over years. That's the truth they don't put in highlight reels. The truth the masses don't want to hear, because it demands responsibility. It demands radical ownership. But if you can own yourself, you can own your future. Success isn't complicated, it's just not easy. It asks you to become valuable, not flashy, not popular. Valuable. And value is created through alignment. When your intentions match your actions. When your standards match your execution. When your potential meets your preparation. To be the kind of person worth investing in, you must master your mind. Because everything you build starts there. Every business, every relationship, every transformation, it begins as a thought. And most people live as prisoners to their own thoughts. Their mind is a cage, not a command center. They are not the master of their emotions. They are the puppet of their fears. You must decide to upgrade your inner software. Because a brilliant opportunity in the hands of an undisciplined mind is a wasted seed. It's not what you get that determines your future. It's what you can handle. And you only handle as much success as you've trained your mind to hold. If you think in scarcity, you'll sabotage abundance. If you think in doubt, you'll repel faith. If you live in distraction, you'll drown in potential but never produce results. You must guard your mind like a fortress. No more feeding it junk. No more letting gossip, comparison, or noise enter the gates. Feed it truth. Feed it vision. Feed it power. Train it to see what's possible, not just what is. That is how leaders think. That is how investors think. That is how greatness thinks. But thought without belief is dead. So you must believe in yourself, not in the empty way the world chants about self-love. I mean, believe like an investor studies a company before pouring in their capital. Look at yourself. Are you growing? Are you profitable in your daily habits? Are you solving problems or creating them? Would you bet your life on your own habits showing up in 5 years as something worth celebrating? Real belief comes when you earn it. It doesn't come from affirmations. It comes from alignment. It comes from doing what you said you'd do when you said you'd do it long after the mood has faded. Belief is the reward of self-respect. And self-respect is built in private. Clarity follows belief. When you believe in yourself, you stop living reactively. You stop chasing every opportunity that waves at you and start choosing the few that align with your mission. Most people are busy being busy. They confuse movement with progress. But when you're clear, you move with precision. You say no more than you say yes. You protect your time like it's your greatest asset because it is. You must ask yourself, what am I really building? Not what do I want, not what do I hope for. What am I building today? With my habits, my decisions, my associations, my thoughts. What am I constructing with my life? That clarity is power. It gives you a filter. It removes distractions. It keeps you grounded when the storms come, and they will come. Because purpose without clarity is like a ship without a compass. You might be moving, but you're not going anywhere meaningful. But with clarity, even small steps feel significant. Even quiet days feel like bricks being laid on the foundation of something bigger. And once you find clarity, you step into purpose. The deep, unshakable reason why you wake up, why you sacrifice, why you endure. Purpose is not a passion. It's not a hobby. It's not something you stumble into one morning and fall in love with. It is forged through pain, through reflection, through realizing that the comfort you've been addicted to is the enemy of the contribution you're capable of. When you find your purpose, something inside you changes. You stop waiting to be rescued and start preparing to lead. You stop chasing likes and start chasing legacy. You stop needing to be inspired and start becoming the inspiration. Purpose gives you something most people never taste: stamina. When the work gets lonely, when the results take longer than you thought, when the excitement fades, your purpose whispers, keep going. While others need external motivation, you burn from within. But purpose alone is not enough. The bridge between vision and results is discipline. Discipline is the investment that compounds daily. It is the proof that you are serious, and it will cost you. It will cost you the cheap high of instant gratification. It will cost you the approval of people who don't share your standards. It will cost you the version of you that's addicted to comfort and excuses. But what it gives you is everything. Discipline is not about doing what you love. It's about doing what you promised on the days you don't feel like it. When it's inconvenient, when it's not glamorous, that's when discipline shows its value. When no one is clapping, when no one is watching, that's where wealth is built. Because success doesn't come to the most talented. It comes to the most consistent, the most faithful, the most relentless, the one who stacks bricks when others are waiting for blueprints, the one who writes when no one reads, the one who builds when no one believes. Be that person. Act like someone who's already where they want to be. Because every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. Are you voting for excellence or convenience? For mastery or mediocrity? If someone watched a highlight reel of your last 30 days, would they invest in you? Think about that. Would they see hunger, discipline, momentum, or would they see excuses dressed as reasons? Would they see a person preparing for greatness or entertaining their own destruction? You are either in training for greatness or maintenance of average. There is no neutral ground. Every day counts. Every thought, every habit, every conversation, they are seeds. They are compounding, whether you see it or not, and the harvest is coming. Will you be proud of it? Or will you regret that you had the chance to become someone extraordinary and chose comfort instead? You don't get to decide if you'll reap. You only get to decide what you sow. And greatness only grows in the fields of daily discipline. So if you're going to sow intentionally, sow like your future depends on it. Sow like your children will live in the house you build with your habits, because they will. Sow like your name is a brand and your actions are writing the logo, because they are. There are no neutral decisions. Every moment is a moment of becoming. If you want to be the kind of person you would invest in, then act like every dollar you earn is a reflection of the value you've created in someone's life. Act like every minute you waste is a minute stolen from the vision that's trying to be born through you. Stop living like you have time to kill. Start living like you have a legacy to build. And once you begin moving with that level of intention, you will collide with resistance. That's the test. The resistance is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's proof that you're pushing past the version of yourself that was okay with average. The gym doesn't hurt because you're weak. It hurts because you're building. Business doesn't feel overwhelming because you're failing. It feels overwhelming because you're stretching. You don't feel alone on your journey because you're lost. You feel alone because most people stopped walking at mile 3 and you're pushing to mile 30. Most people aren't willing to feel the friction of transformation. But friction is the price of progress. It's the resistance of the old making way for the new. So when it comes, do not retreat. Lean in, This is where character is forged. This is where identity is reshaped. This is where the person you've been meets the person you are becoming, and one of them must die. Let it be the one who made excuses. Let it be the one who coasted. Let it be the one who lived to be liked rather than to be legendary. Because when you slay that version of yourself, you make room for the one the world has been waiting for. The world does not need more copies. It doesn't need more noise. It needs people who are undeniably real, who move with conviction, who live by principles that don't bend with convenience. And that begins with action. Action is the final filter between the dreamers and the doers, between those who talk a big game and those who build something worth talking about. Talk doesn't move mountains. Discipline does. Work does. Faith in motion does. So get up, move, execute, start. Start small if you must. Start scared. Start unsure, but start, because motion creates clarity, and clarity creates momentum. Action is where confidence is born. Every time you do what you said you would, your self-trust grows. And when self-trust grows, your presence changes. You no longer walk into rooms wondering if you belong. You walk in knowing what you bring. That's the energy investors feel. That's the energy doors respond to. That's the energy the world makes space for. So take the action, make the call, send the proposal, study the material, show up to the gym, launch the project, apply for the role, start the channel, build the brand, write the book, have the hard conversation. Stop letting perfection be your prison. Start letting progress be your path. You don't need all the answers. You need the courage to take the next step. And while you move, don't forget gratitude. Gratitude is not softness, it's strategy. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that you are privileged to have this shot at all. That every breath is a second chance. That every obstacle is an opportunity dressed in discomfort. Gratitude shifts your energy from scarcity to sufficiency, from lack to leverage, from I have to I get to. It reminds you that the very things you complain about today, someone else is praying for. That the work you dread might be the very work that leads to your breakthrough. The grateful are magnetic. They draw people in. They build trust. They elevate rooms. And they operate with a power that entitlement will never understand. So while the world tells you to hustle harder, remember to think deeper. Thank the pain. Thank the pressure. Thank the closed doors that redirected you to better ones. Thank the grind. It is your gift. But stay adaptable, because life won't go according to your blueprint. You will be rejected. Plans will fall apart. Markets will shift. People will leave. Failure will visit you like a persistent guest. That's not a flaw in the system. That is the system. Adaptability is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the ability to bend without breaking, to change course without changing character, to pivot without losing your purpose. Rigidity is the cousin of irrelevance. Those who refuse to adapt become bitter, outdated, and left behind. But those who stay light on their feet, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, those are the ones who turn setbacks into strategy, who turn breakdowns into breakthroughs. And the more you adapt, the more you grow. Because growth lives at the edge of your comfort. It lives in the unknown, the unfamiliar, the things you don't yet know how to do. So seek them. Seek the challenge. Seek the discomfort. It is the sign you're still alive, still expanding, still becoming. And when life hits hard, when it doesn't just test you but tries to bury you, you will need resilience. Resilience is the quiet fire inside that says, this will not be the end of me. It's the strength to rebuild after the storm, the grit to keep climbing when the mountain grows steeper, the resolve to find light even when the night seems endless. Resilience is what makes legends out of ordinary people, not because they never fell, but because they refused to stay down. They bled, they cried, they stumbled, but they never surrendered. They used the fall to rise stronger, wiser, sharper. If you want to be the kind of person you would invest in, don't ask how easy the road will be. Ask how strong you're willing to become to walk it. Because success is not handed out, it is carved out. In discipline, in belief, in purpose, in pain. It is earned in silence and rewarded in public. And no one is going to do it for you. No one is going to write your story. You are the pen. You are the author. And if you don't write it, someone else will. So ask yourself today, not what you want, but who you are willing to become. Would you invest in that person? Would you believe in them? Would you follow them? If the answer is nothing, you know where your work begins. It begins now. And once it begins, don't stop. Because the climb is steep, but so is the view. And the person you become along the way will be unrecognizable to the one who began. You must learn relentlessly. You must hunger for wisdom like your survival depends on it, because it does. Not just the kind found in books, but the kind you earn in the trenches. The kind that's carved into your character through failure, humility, and reflection. The kind that separates those who merely talk from those who transform. Learning is leverage. Every lesson sharpens your edge. Every truth you uncover removes a layer of ignorance that was costing you opportunity. You can't lead what you don't understand. You can't elevate what you haven't studied. Make yourself a student of excellence. Study greatness like it's your religion. Take notes from the battle-tested, not the popular. Learn from results, not opinions. Because the world is full of noise, but results whisper truth. Don't just learn what to think, learn how to think. Learn to see through deception. Learn to delay gratification. Learn to interpret feedback without ego. Learn to reframe failure as feedback. Learn to extract lessons from pain faster than others wallow in it. Become so teachable that life itself starts mentoring you. Because the ultimate competitive advantage isn't talent. It's the speed at which you can learn, unlearn, and relearn. And that only comes when you trade pride for progress. So stay humble. Stay hungry. The moment you think you've arrived, you start dying. The moment you think you're above learning, you begin your descent into irrelevance. Don't chase being the smartest in the room, chase becoming the sharpest weapon in your arsenal. That's what real winners do. They grow so much, they intimidate their old selves. And yet, in all this becoming, in all the building and pushing and reaching, you must not lose your soul. Because success at the cost of integrity is counterfeit. The world doesn't just need powerful people, it needs principled people. People who move with honor, who choose character when no one is watching, who do the right thing, even when it slows them down. Because in the long run, nothing accelerates trust like integrity. And nothing erodes your potential like compromise. Every shortcut has a cost. Every lie builds a trap. Every sellout moment is a withdrawal from your soul. And you cannot lead, you cannot build, you cannot become the kind of person worth investing in if your conscience is bankrupt. So walk in truth, speak with honesty, live in alignment, and let your name mean something long after you're gone. Because in the end, all the influence, all the money, all the accolades, they're just shadows. What endures is who you became. What echoes is how you made people feel. What lingers is the legacy you left behind. So rise today, not with noise, but with power. Move like your time is precious, because it is. Speak like your words shape destinies, because they do. Act like someone is watching, not to judge you, but to become you. And be the kind of person you would invest in every single time. Not someday. Not when it's easier. Not when the stars align. Now, this moment is your investment. This breath is your down payment on destiny. This day is the chance to make everything that came before it worth it. So become someone your future self is proud of. Become someone your younger self needed. Become someone this world didn't know it was waiting for, but now can't forget. Become the kind of person who builds empires from principles, who bends time with focus, who attracts greatness with authenticity, who leaves behind a blueprint of courage for those still afraid to try. Be the kind of person you would invest in, and do it like your life depends on it, because it does. Because your life is not a rehearsal. There's no second showing, no practice round, no do-over. You don't get to rewind this day or reclaim this hour. It's now or never. And if you don't treat your minutes like miracles, you will waste your life waiting for a feeling that was never meant to save you. Discipline was. Do not live like time owes you more of itself. It doesn't. Time owes you nothing. You owe it everything. This is the moment where the courageous are separated from the curious. Because everyone's interested in success. Everyone loves the idea of becoming more. But only a few are committed. Only a few are willing to put their dreams on a schedule, to bleed for the thing they believe in, to give up temporary pleasure for permanent power. Only a few are willing to make themselves into a weapon, sharpened not by comfort, but by purpose, tempered not by ease, but by endurance. And in a world addicted to shortcuts, they become rare. And in their rarity, they become valuable. You want to become someone you would invest in? Then stop investing in your limitations. Stop funding your fear. Stop financing your excuses. Cut off the budget for self-pity. Pull every dollar of your energy out of the accounts labeled someday and maybe, and reinvest it into the account called now. Act like you're building something that will outlive you, because you are. Your habits will echo in your children's lives. Your work will echo in the lives you touch. Your choices will ripple across generations. This isn't just about building wealth. It's about building a way, a standard, a code, a presence that lingers when you leave the room, a spirit that remains when your name is whispered decades from now. And make no mistake, your name will mean something. The only question is, what? Will it be a cautionary tale of wasted potential? Or a story of defiance against the odds? Will it be associated with regret? Or will it roar with redemption? That's your decision to make. And every decision you make writes a line in that story. You don't need more time. You need more commitment. You don't need more information. You need more execution. You don't need more motivation. You need more movement. Because clarity comes through doing. Courage comes through doing. Momentum comes through doing. And no one becomes great by thinking about it. So get in motion. Get uncomfortable. Get accountable. Get obsessed with becoming someone your future can thank, not apologize for. Start today like you're already behind, like your dreams are drowning, and only action can breathe life back into them. Like the clock is racing and the finish line is getting smaller with every excuse you entertain. And while others sleep, build. While others scroll, study. While others waste, work. Be relentless. Because the moment you decide to show up for yourself at full volume, something changes. The world takes notice. The air around you thickens with purpose. People start watching you differently. Not because you told them who you are, but because you started proving it with every breath. There is something sacred about a person on a mission. Their energy is different. Their pace is different. Their standards are brutal. They are not waiting to be chosen. They are choosing themselves over and over until no one can ignore it. Be that person. Be the person who doesn't just talk about legacy, but lives like one. Be the person who sharpens every gift, not for applause, but because excellence is its own reward. Be the person who outlasts, outworks, outgrows without needing to outshine. Be the person who shows others what's possible when you take yourself seriously enough to transform. And when the storm comes, as it always does, don't just stand there trying to weather it. Become the storm. Become the force of nature your old self couldn't comprehend. Become the one who didn't wait to be inspired, but who inspired by becoming. This world has enough doubters. It has enough dreamers who never do. It has enough talent going to waste in comfortable lives. What it needs desperately is people on fire with direction, people possessed by purpose, people unwilling to betray their potential for temporary relief. People like you, if you're willing, if you're ready, if you're serious. The call is simple, but the cost is high. You must die to who you were to give birth to, who you could be. And in that decision, when you kill off the average, the addicted, the afraid, you rise. You rise with vision. You rise with power. You rise with fire in your eyes that says, watch me become, watch me rebuild, watch me rise from the ashes I used to sleep in. And when you walk like that, think like that, act like that, there is no doubt left. You are now the kind of person anyone would invest in, especially you. And that self-investment is the most powerful investment you will ever make. Not in stocks, not in real estate, not in any business or brand, but in the vessel that touches it all you. Because if you level up the operator, every operation improves. If you grow the thinker, the thoughts multiply in value. If you evolve the vessel, the vision can expand. You must become so strong, so grounded, so undeniable in your presence that everything around you has no choice but to rise or be left behind. And let me tell you something. There is no confidence like the confidence that comes from keeping promises to yourself. There is no high like the high of knowing you did what others won't. There is no peace like the peace of living in alignment with your values, your vision, your voice. This is what power feels like. Quiet, solid, rooted. It does not boast. It does not beg. It simply becomes. But understand this. The journey is not linear. There will be days where everything in you wants to break, where your past comes knocking like an old friend trying to pull you back into habits, into patterns, into mediocrity. You must slam that door with intention. Tell your old self, you are no longer welcome here. Tell your excuses. This temple is under reconstruction. Tell your doubts. You're no match for a mind like mine. Because here's the truth. Every time you take a step forward, the enemy of your future will whisper seduction into your ear. Take a day off. No one will notice. You've done enough. But enough is the language of those who plateau. And plateauing is just disguised decay. So you must live above the noise. Not because you're better than others, but because you've decided you're done living beneath what you're capable of. You must become someone who doesn't just rise once, but rises every time they're knocked down. Again, and again, and again, until the setbacks stop surprising you, until the struggle becomes your training ground, until pain becomes your personal development partner. Because pressure doesn't just test you, reveals you. And once you're revealed, you're responsible. You can't unsee what you're capable of. You can't unknow the fire that's inside you. You can't go back to average once you've touched your potential. And if you try, life will haunt you. It will remind you every day that you sold greatness for comfort, that you traded your crown for crumbs. But not you, not anymore. From now on, you move with royalty in your veins. From now on, your presence is a declaration of standard. From now on, you live like every second counts because you understand the cost of wasting them. So build your routine like an architect builds a cathedral, with intention, with care, with legacy in mind. Guard your circle like your dreams depend on it, because they do. Feed your spirit like it's the source of your strength, because it is. Speak to yourself like you're the next great chapter in human potential, because you are. There is nothing casual about this pursuit. There is nothing light about living with purpose. This isn't a phase. This isn't a challenge. This isn't a new year, new me slogan. This is a war for your future. And you're not just here to survive it. You're here to win it. You're here to dominate it. You're here to walk out of every battle bruised maybe, but never broken. Because you've decided to be the kind of person you would invest in. To be the kind of soul that doesn't waver in uncertainty. To be the kind of mind that outthinks the fear. To be the kind of heart that beats louder than the noise. To be the kind of body that shows up, even when the motivation doesn't. To be the kind of leader that other leaders study. To be the kind of legacy that lives on in silence, long after the noise of your name has faded. This is what you're becoming, not by accident, not by luck, but by decision, by devotion, by deliberate, repeated, unapologetic action. You are no longer an observer in your own life. You are the architect, the builder, the force of nature that rewrote the script. And from this moment forward, when someone asks, what changed? You'll look them in the eye and say, I stopped investing in who I was and started becoming someone I would invest in. Then let us keep going, because the fire has only just been lit. And as it burns, it consumes every old excuse, every half-hearted version of you, every day you coasted, every time you believed the lie that you weren't ready, weren't enough, weren't qualified. Let them all burn. Let their ashes fertilize the soil for something unshakable. Because you are building something now, not just a career, not just a body, not just a name. You are building you. And the next version of you will not be born in ease. It will be born in fire. It will rise in the midst of discomfort, shaped not by praise, but by pressure. Because pressure is how diamonds are made, and you are no longer running from the weight. You're using it. You're letting it sculpt you. You're letting it chisel away what's weak, what's fake, what's lazy, until all that remains is pure, indestructible potential. And that potential, it demands standards. Not dreams, standards. Anyone can dream. The world is full of dreamers. But standards, that's a different breed. Standards govern behavior when the motivation is gone. Standards build your reputation when no one is looking. Standards are the invisible force that separate the good from the great, the committed from the convenient. So ask yourself, what do I tolerate that keeps me average? What am I allowing in my thoughts, in my words, in my habits, that an elite version of me would eliminate without hesitation? What in my life right now would make a high-level investor pause? Would they see precision or procrastination? Would they see focuser, fragmentation? Would they see momentum or maintenance? The answer is not meant to shame you. It's meant to wake you up, to call you higher, to call you into a standard of living where you no longer settle for just enough, because just enough is the most dangerous place to be. It tricks you into staying still. It tells you you're doing okay, while your dreams starve quietly in the background. Raise your standards, and your life will rise to meet them. And as you do, you will start noticing something powerful. People will respond differently to you, not because you told them you changed, but because your presence proves it. Your posture shifts. Your words hit harder. Your decisions become clearer. Your energy becomes more rare. That's what happens when you start respecting your own potential. You stop over-explaining. You stop negotiating with your lower self. You stop wasting energy on people who drain, distract, or dilute your mission. And in that clarity, something new is born. Conviction, not confidence, conviction. Confidence is believing you can win. Conviction is knowing you must. It's the fire that says, I don't need perfect conditions. I just need breath in my lungs and a goal worth bleeding for. Conviction is what builds movements. Conviction is what carries you through the storms. Conviction is what makes you magnetic. And you don't get it from reading. You get it from building, from showing up so often, so consistently, so relentlessly, that your habits form a wall no storm can knock down. You want to be someone worth investing in? Then move like someone who cannot be stopped. Not because you're arrogant, but because you're anchored. Anchored in purpose. Anchored in principles. Anchored in a vision so clear it scares people who've settled. And when that anchor is in place, your circumstances stop controlling you. Your past stops limiting you. You are no longer a product of your environment, you become the creator of it. And creators live differently. They don't wait for permission. They don't need validation. They don't blend in to survive. They build. They shape culture. They challenge norms. They wake people up simply by refusing to live asleep. And that's what this world needs. Not more consumers, more creators, more builders, more leaders who don't just chase wealth, but create worth. Not more influencers who look the part, but individuals who become the part. And that's you, if you choose it. If you're willing to walk the path that others only admire from a distance. If you're willing to build when it's thankless, to train when it's unseen, to plant when no one claps. Because harvest always comes. It may delay, but it never denies. And when it comes, it will look like luck. But you'll know better. You'll know it was the daily war, the daily wins, the daily acts of discipline that no one saw but everyone now benefits from. That's what creates a life that demands investment. That's what makes a human unstoppable. Then listen close, because what comes next is not for the faint of heart. It's for the doers, the builders, the relentless, the ones who would rather be exhausted from effort than haunted by potential. You want to be the kind of person you would invest in? Then make peace with one reality. Pain is part of the price. Not the kind of pain that breaks you, but the kind that builds you, the kind that sharpens you, that molds your muscle and stretches your spirit, the kind that introduces you to parts of yourself you never knew existed until comfort was stripped away. The truth is, pressure reveals what comfort conceals. When life presses you, what spills out? Excuses or excellence? Fear or faith? Blame or ownership? That is your real character, not who you are when it's easy, but who you are when it's brutal. Because the world is not kind to potential, it's ruthless. It tests it. It challenges it. It says, show me what you've got. And if you haven't done the work internally, you will fold under the weight of your own vision. That's why the real work is invisible. It's not the post. It's the process. It's not the speech. It's the silence you endure to prepare for it. It's not the stage. It's the struggle it took to earn your voice. You want to be worth investing in? Then build roots so deep the storms make you stronger. Build discipline so solid your feelings become irrelevant. Build such emotional endurance that even heartbreak can't derail your progress. Because here's the secret the world doesn't teach. The deeper you go within, the further you rise without. Most people are trying to climb without digging. But elevation without excavation is a setup for collapse. Because sooner or later, life will shake your foundation. And when it does, only those who've done the deep work will still be standing. So dig. Dig into your patterns. Dig into your fears. Dig into your insecurities. Not to dwell on them, but to disarm them, to understand them, to take away their power. Because you cannot conquer what you're too afraid to confront. Face your laziness. Face your jealousy. Face your self-doubt. Face the parts of you that sabotage your greatness not with shame, but with strategy. This is where your real wealth is. Not in a portfolio, but in your personal evolution. When you grow, everything else follows. Your relationships improve. Your finances expand. Your clarity sharpens. Your reputation strengthens. Because you stopped waiting for change to happen around you and started creating it within you. And that kind of inner work, it's sacred. It's not loud. It's not glamorous, but it is foundational. Because when your inner world is ordered, your outer world bends to match it. But when your inner world is chaotic, no amount of success will feel safe. You'll keep building only to destroy. You'll keep achieving only to feel empty. You'll keep searching for things that cannot fill the void that only becoming can. So become. Not for applause, not for acceptance, but because you are finally done betraying your potential. You are finally ready to stop living like you have time to waste. You are finally done acting like your value is something to be earned from others. You are done playing small, shrinking your energy, diluting your voice just to fit into spaces that were never built for your expansion. From now on, everything changes. You walk different. You speak different. You demand more from yourself not because you're broken, but because you're done being average. You raise your ceiling. You elevate your circle. You become unrecognizable to your old self, and that's the point. Growth should make you uncomfortable. It should make the people who knew you as weak feel confused. It should make your own thoughts feel foreign because you've renewed your mind so many times the old scripts don't even play anymore. That's when you know you're becoming someone worth investing in. When your old self no longer feels like home. When comfort feels like a threat. When excellence is the only option. And when fear tries to speak you, don't even flinch. You just smile and keep building. Then stand tall, breathe deep, and keep going. Because the path of transformation does not end, it only deepens. The further you walk, the more you realize it was never about the destination. It was about the becoming. The person forged in the fire. The character carved through the trials. The identity sharpened like steel by the friction of your old limits being destroyed. You must learn to live in that friction, to find strength in it, because every time you push against your limits, you grow capacity. And capacity is the invisible currency of greatness. The greater your capacity, the more you can carry. Pressure, vision, leadership, wealth, influence. These things don't break the strong, they reveal them. And to carry more, you must become more, not just in skill, but in stillness, in presence, in responsibility. Because greatness isn't just about performance. It's about stability, about showing up when your name isn't called, about executing when the crowd is gone, about staying grounded when the winds of life try to knock you off your foundation. That's what separates the rare from the replaceable. You want to build something that lasts? Then build on principles, not trends, not hype, not emotion, principles. Because principles don't change when pressure comes. They don't waver when the market shifts. They don't break when people disappoint you. They hold, they stabilize, they endure. And when you live by them, you become unshakable. You begin to radiate a frequency that others recognize as leadership. Not the loud kind, not the performative kind, but the kind that walks into a room and shifts the energy without saying a word. That's what happens when you're aligned. When your inner world and outer world match. When your talk and your walk are identical twins. That's when trust is built. That's when respect is automatic. That's when people begin to follow not because you told them to, but because they can't not. Because you've become the kind of person that embodies excellence. The kind that exudes certainty. The kind that turns discipline into impact. And when you do that, everything changes. You don't need to chase money. It finds you. You don't need to beg for opportunities. They open naturally. You don't need to market yourself endlessly. Your results become your reputation. This is the long game. This is the real wealth. The wealth of becoming. Of knowing that no matter what is taken from you, job, platform, money, title, you are still the source. Because you didn't just build the thing, you became the thing. You became a system of strength, a weapon of wisdom, a vessel of value. That is what makes you recession-proof, storm-proof, failure-proof. Not because life gets easier, but because you got stronger. So keep going, keep refining, keep ascending, until there is no gap left between who you are and who you were born to be. Until everything you touch bears the fingerprints of discipline, presence, and purpose. Until you look at your life and realize, I'd invest in me. Not just once, but every single time. Then let the fire rise once more. Because if you're still breathing, you're still building. And if you're still building, you're not done yet. You're not even close. This journey isn't about speed. It's about depth. It's about building a version of yourself that doesn't crack under chaos, that doesn't flinch in adversity, that doesn't shrink when pressure arrives. Because pressure is not your enemy, it's your invitation. Pressure reveals what's real. And if you're truly becoming someone worth investing in, you don't just endure pressure, you invite it. You say, bring it. I don't want an easy life. I want a meaningful one. I want a life that demands my greatness. that challenges my limits, that extracts every ounce of potential out of me before I leave this earth. This is not about motivation. This is about identity. This is about waking up and choosing daily to align your actions with your future, not your feelings. Your feelings want comfort. Your future demands consistency. Your feelings want validation. Your future demands vision. Your feelings want rest. Your future demands relentless pursuit. And so, you build. You build when you're tired. You build when you're scared. You build when the path is unclear. Because the builder doesn't stop until the vision is real. That's what separates the investor from the gambler. A gambler bets on luck. An investor bets on strategy. A gambler chases emotions. An investor studies patterns. A gambler folds under loss. An investor adapts, adjusts, and reinvests because they know value doesn't disappear. It evolves. It grows. And so do you. So evolve. Upgrade your standards. Sharpen your systems. Tighten your focus. Refuse to be a victim of distractions. The world will beg for your attention, but only you can protect your intention. Because if your attention is scattered, your power is diluted. You want to know why most people don't win? It's not because they're incapable, it's because they're unfocused. They know what they want, but they're too easily entertained. They say they're building, but their actions are borrowed from boredom, not from belief. They start with passion, but collapse without purpose. Don't be that. You are not here to flirt with potential. You are here to marry your mission, to lock in with discipline so deep that even if you're buried in silence, you keep building in the dark. Why? Because the dark is where roots grow, and roots grow before fruits show. So if it's quiet, good. If it's slow, good. If it's hard, perfect. That means you're not building noise. You're building substance. And substance lasts. Substance compounds. Substance pays dividends long after hype has faded. That's what real investment is about. Not flash, not trends, not quick wins, but compounding mastery. Day by day, brick by brick, choice by choice. Until you wake up one day no longer needing to convince anyone of your value because your results do all the talking. That's the goal. To live in such alignment, such intentionality, such quiet power that people start wondering, what happened to them? But the real ones know. You happened to you. You decided. You committed. You leveled up your life not by accident, but by absolute conviction. And now nothing can touch you. Not because you're invincible, but because you're indivisible. Whole, aligned, anchored. That is the kind of person you would invest in. And that's exactly who you're becoming. Then steel your mind, because what comes next separates the temporary from the timeless. The ones who start strong from the ones who stay strong. The amateurs from the architects. Because now we step into the final threshold, the realm of legacy. What will remain when your motivation fades? What will be said when your name is no longer trending? What will echo when the applause goes silent? That's the true test of value. That's the real weight of your investment. Not how loud it is, but how long it lasts. Legacy doesn't care how you feel. It only measures what you leave behind. And make no mistake, you will leave something behind. A reputation, a trail, a blueprint, or a warning. You decide which one, because you're writing it now. With every decision, every moment of discipline, every small win stacked on top of another. That's how legacy is built, not in dramatic moments, but in quiet mastery. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And the kind of person worth investing in doesn't hope for outcomes, they design them. They don't cross their fingers, they cross thresholds. With strategy, with vision, with habits so ingrained, it would feel unnatural not to win. You want to know the difference between those who thrive and those who fade? It's not talent. It's intentionality. It's waking up with a reason. It's showing up with a plan. It's going to bed with integrity. You don't get this level of life by coasting. You get it by compounding. Compound energy, compound focus, compound momentum. You start where you are. You do what you can. And you never let temporary setbacks become permanent identities. Because the kind of person you're becoming, they don't need everything to be perfect to move forward. They just need breath in their lungs. And a reason. And the reason is this. You were not born to be average. You were born to set standards, to break cycles, to build dynasties of discipline that run deeper than bloodlines, to be the turning point in your family's story, to be the moment history looks back on and says, it changed with them. Not because you shouted louder, but because you lived louder. You lived with such intensity, such clarity, such power that the world had to rearrange itself around your presence. That is who you are becoming. And if you haven't met that version of you yet, keep going. They're waiting at the next level of your commitment. They're waiting in the next hour of discipline. They're waiting in the next time you say no to average and yes to alignment. And when you meet them, truly meet them, you'll understand why it never worked out with the lesser versions of yourself. Because the real you was never meant to fit in with fear. You were built to walk in freedom. Not the kind granted by circumstance, but the kind forged through character. You are now becoming someone unstoppable. Not because the path is easy, but because you are no longer negotiable. And from this moment forward, everything about you says, I am worth the investment. Every breath you take is return on courage. Every step you walk is interest on discipline. Every day you show up is another dividend paid from the wealth of self-mastery. You don't just build wealth. You are wealth. So own it. Move like it. And never again forget, you are not waiting for your life to change. You are the one changing it. Because you are now and forever the kind of person you would invest in. And that is priceless.